Welcome to Data Points. I'm Ryan Mummert. I'm the president of Pinpoint Guam. And Pinpoint Guam is a real estate data company, and we lead with data. And what that means is we help you find accurate and verified information about real property and help you make informed decisions on your purchases. And today I'm here to bring you more information. I'm here with Clarke Schaumann with Smithbridge, and Clarke is the logistics and supply division manager at Smithbridge Guam. Welcome, Clarke.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Before we get started, I just want to invite you to like, subscribe, or share on whatever channel you're listening to. We'll be here in this space at regular intervals, at regular times, and we'll put that in the show notes for you. And if you find the content valuable, please tell a friend and join us for more. Clarke, you're here today to tell me about how to fix Guam's affordable workforce and housing issue for all those segments. Tell me.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to start with how I got here. Ryan, you did a good post on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you sort of posted and said Guam has a housing crisis, an issue, and you offered up some solutions, right?
Yes,
and
I did.
Some of those solutions were, what if we had some prefabricated homes available on island that were modular?
Right.
And also included a public-private partnership. And I got online and I said, yeah, let's do all three.
Wow.
All at once.
I saw that. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and so that's what we're trying to do at Smithbridge. And what I might say here is preface this with, this is the beginnings of our plans that we're planting seeds. So we have concepts of a plan, as the saying goes. And I'll talk that through. Okay. So your prefabricated modular public-private partnership essentially speaks to a cost issue, a design issue, and a funding issue. All right. So we at Smithbridge, we're a vertically integrated construction company. So what that means is, that means we have quarries that dig out rock.
All right.
We got concrete batch plants that make concrete.
Okay.
We have cranes that lift up precast concrete panels into wherever they need to be.
Okay.
And we have a full contracting unit. So it's anything involved in the construction industry, we are providing probably some part of it, whether it is the rock, the concrete, the crane, or the contracting.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So what we have is a really special perspective on Guam. We see a lot of construction, and we bring in a lot of building materials. So we understand how difficult it is to bring in cost-effective building materials. Over the course of Smithbridge, we've worked in a lot of intense settings, one of which is Papua New Guinea. When in Papua New Guinea, our founder, Albert Smith, had the idea of how are we going to house all of the workers that need to build this bridge in Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
And in order to bring all the materials to Papua New Guinea, they had a lot of excess containers. And he said, these containers are fantastic building units to make container buildings, apartment complexes, or livable, lovable spaces for the workers.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, right?
So this has happened over the course of 20 years that Smithbridge has been making containerized buildings.
Okay.
If you actually go up to our headquarters in Jigo, that's where our quarry is, you'll find a lot of containerized buildings that we use for our offices. My office is in right next to a container building. Okay. So for Guam, we believe one of the solutions can be containerized, prefabricated, modular residences.
Wow, Clarke. That is a lot of segments, but tell me more.
Okay. So what are the challenges on Guam? I already said the cost, but we also have the elements. So we need a building material that will live up to the harsh reality that we live every single day, which is hot, hot sun and wet, wet water and salty, salty sea. Okay. And so we've usually gone towards concrete housing. And that's been the go-to because that is, a very dependable, reliable, durable structure. But if you go around the island after a typhoon, guess what doesn't get knocked over, and guess what doesn't get blown over? Containers.
Okay.
You can always rely on a container to provide a nice, safe place. The only thing that happens in a typhoon with a container is if there's not enough weight, it might get blown around a little bit.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of an anchoring issue. Okay? So we're starting with this building block of a container. Now we still have a cost issue. Think good old Henry Ford. The way that you bring down costs is you have an assembly line and you have a factory that you can do a repeatable process. That is, make a kitchen, put it in the container over and over and over again. So it's repeatable and cost effective. The great thing about a container is it can also be movable. And so when you have this assembly line where you're able to bring the costs down, make labor effective, make your purchasing effective, and make your assembly effective, you can have a very cost-effective product that can be moved around the island to the places that people need it.
Oh, that's really cool. So what do you do to turn them into a home?
So no one wants to live in a place with steel walls or a steel ceiling and a steel floor. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to have to do is put in panels that create some insulation, and it needs to be antimicrobial. Microbial.
Yeah.
There's enough. Too many R's. Microbial. No.
Let's go with it. Let's go with
the comments. The comments will kill me.
Please come in. Yeah. How do you see that?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So we need to put in something that is antimicrobial. Dang it. And then anti-humidity and flame retardant.
Okay.
Right. And so the solution there is what's called stone wool or rock wool. It's essentially it looks like fiberglass, but not fiberglass because we've moved on from fiberglass into stone wool.
I didn't even know. Yeah.
And so it'll just be paneling that we put up against the steel sides and the ceiling, and then we put on a nice sort of concrete floor on the bottom.
Okay.
Or it could even be what's called a stone resin. It's a bit of a lock-in sort of wood-like flooring.
Okay. This is essentially clicks in place.
Clicks in place.
Okay.
But it's, again, it's the stone resin. It seems like there's a theme here. We're creating what we used to have in caves, but putting stones on the side and stones on the bottom. Big man caves, that's what we're building.
There you go.
Just a bunch of man caves. So we start with that, we put in the ceiling, and then we put in the whether it be the bathroom, the bedroom, the kitchen, the laundry room, the storage room, and we put that in on site.
Again, like you said, modular, right? So all these pieces click like Legos.
Modular. Okay. And so then eventually we'll have these modules that will be able to be put together and welded together, and then eventually taken to a job site and then installed.
Okay.
But that's a little bit too far ahead of us. What I might want to talk about is what these modules might look like.
Sure.
All right.
Tell me.
So I'm going to let you in on a couple code names.
I'm here for it, Clarke. What do you got?
Right. Okay. So these are subject to change, but we're thinking, what are these residences going to look like? So you start with a container. You either have a 40-foot container or a 20-foot container.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to start from small and go big. Okay. The small, easiest to understand is the single 20-foot container, and we're calling that the half a home.
Okay.
Okay. As in half a day, but
yeah,
also
no, I get it. I get the double entendre.
You like that?
I like it.
Okay, so it's a half a home. And what that is a bedroom and a bathroom in a 20-foot container.
Okay.
And this is obviously for someone who already has a single-family residence, but is looking for a little extra space. Maybe auntie came back, or that son never kind of failure to launch, or even grandma came back and you needed some extra space. Call it a granny flat, call it an auntie's home, whatever you want to call it. You set this structure up and you hook up some water and power, which you'll already have on your existing site, and you just add in, extra bedroom and bath.
Okay.
We're calling that the half a home.
All right.
Okay, so what if you're a bachelor and you need a bed, bath, and a kitchen? So that one 20-foot is going to be the bed bath. Another 20-foot, you stick it on the side. It's going to be the kitchen and the washroom.
I got it. So it's like all these different modules. Essentially, it's like IKEA, right? I got two number 2s and two number 4s, and they you can configure and put them together in the way that you want.
Yep. So those two 20-foot, that one's called the cello. Okay,
The
right?
cello.
The cello.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay, so then we're going to move up a little bit to the 40-foot containers.
Okay.
If you put two 40-foot containers together, that's about 600 square feet of livable space.
I can't wait for the name for this one. Go. Yeah.
That's the Biba.
Okay. Okay. I'm there.
It's the Biba.
Okay.
Okay, so that's going to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, kind of single-family dwelling for just a very nice starter home.
Okay.
And then also the last one's going to be, you add on another 40-foot container and you get a little bit more space, a little extra living room, a little extra storage, and that one's going to be the Bonita.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I'm with you on these names.
So the concept is, again, prefabricated, modular, and movable.
Okay.
That can be installed.
So we check those boxes.
Yeah. Because the one thing that we see in the housing situation here on Guam is a lot of people have land or access to land. But it's always the building costs. It's always the tyranny of distance of getting the low-cost building cost not only to the island, but out to the land.
Okay.
And so building on site is going to be a lot more expensive than building in one factory or assembly line, which would be our Harmon complex, and then taking it pre-assembled to the site and doing some, on-site sort of affixing them together, affixing it to the land and putting the roof on.
Got it. Clarke, you talked about, stack modular, interchangeable. Talk to me about the market segment that you think container housing is going to serve the most.
Sure. So anyone who wants a typhoon-proven, cost-accessible, livable, lovable space that lasts.
Okay.
Who is that? It's going to be the young families and retirees and anyone who has land, but not the cost to build the building.
Okay.
Right? And so quite honestly, there's a pretty large market for this, I believe. We'll need to prove the product. We understand that. And in order to prove the product, there's a way for us to do that. And I think you did mention this modular element. We've only talked about the first layer. But the other great part of this is you add multiple layers and you can stack these.
Right, because on container ships, they're stacked, right?
They're stacked, yeah.
Like sometimes several high, right?
Absolutely. Containers are built to be stacked.
Wow, okay.
And so we're looking to make not a high rise, nothing like that, but a nice low rise, easy on the eyes, sort of 3 stories, 4 units per level. So 12 unit, 800 square foot apartments each.
What's it called?
We don't have
no name for
a
that
code
one?
name for it yet. Oh my gosh.
development.
It's never
All
going
right.
to sell. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But anyhow, I'll tell you about this apartment complex. Imagine 5 20-foot containers side by side.
Okay.
So if you put 5 20-foot containers, it's obviously going to be 20 feet on one side, and then it'll be 40 feet on the other.
Okay.
So that's where we get the 800 square feet of livable space. That'll be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, family room, kitchen, storage area apartment. It'll also have some indoor-outdoor flow space and some balcony area. But like I said, 3 levels high, 4 units per level. And what that does is it'll help us jumpstart our factory or our assembly line to get that cost-effective, repeatable prefabrication.
Okay.
Right? And then it'll also give us a ready-made market. Because on one hand, the single-family residences will definitely be for who we just said, the early starters and the retirees.
Okay.
But there are many organizations on this island that are looking for readily accessible housing for whether it be their workers or whether it be people that they're bringing in from off island.
The homeless?
Could be, yeah. The
Right.
government definitely could be a potential a buyer of this apartment, the complex concept. And so, quite honestly, Smithbridge is probably going to be the best customer immediately. Because Smithbridge, we have 300 employees on this island, and we're always looking for cost-accessible housing for them.
So you're a spinoff. You're a
absolutely.
subsidiary, right? So you've taken an internal need and said, well, there's a set cost of infrastructure to do this, but once we're there, we can make them all day. So why not make them for everybody else too?
Correct. And quite honestly, we understand that there's going to be some learnings along the way. And we'd rather learn for ourselves, and then we get a product that's really going to be ready for the market.
No, I understand that. And that's the best use case, actually, right? You internalize it, and then you bring it to the market once it's been tested and proven.
And again, this won't be the first rodeo that Smithbridge has done these things. We've done similar apartment complexes all around the world, whether it be New Caledonia or Papua New Guinea or even in New Zealand and Australia. We've put similar projects like this up on our own behalf to house our own employees.
And I would think there's commercial applications too, right?
Absolutely. Another containerized building concept that we have is obviously some warehouses. So imagine if we take these containers and if with the proper roofing and the proper side structures, you can have just the containers be in and of itself sort of a storage unit in and of itself.
You can also make like a big of storage units, right? Just build a wall around everything.
Yeah.
Cool.
So each container would, again, be compartmentalized. And then all you need is a bit of a forklift, and you can have that readily accessible warehousing solution that'll be relatively temporary and quick and easy to set up.
And then ADUs, right? Everyone's pushing ADUs. So I would think one of those could easily be an ADU that drops off at somebody's like and sits on the corner of a lot and is readily accessible accessory dwelling unit.
Obviously, I know what that means.
Yes.
But maybe some of your listeners don't know what ADU means.
Oh, well, an accessory dwelling unit is, I mean, I can't even properly define it, but as I understand it, it's another structure that sits on your lot that's not exactly zoned for, but it's permitted in zoning law or code that allows another resident to stay separately.
Excellent.
Which is
so that's our half a home.
Okay, half a home. Okay.
Right? So is that our half a home concept?
Yes, I would believe so.
Okay, fair enough. I learn something new every day. Didn't know what an ADU was.
I just unlocked a market segment for Clarke.
There we
Congratulations.
go. There we go.
No, free. Yeah, free for you. No consulting charge.
You'll bill me later.
I know. We all get it back at the end. Right. But no, that's great. How soon could someone in Guam realistically move into a container home? Like, okay, so you're doing it for yourself.
So look, I'm not gonna overpromise.
Christmas 2025.
No. No. I would say within 12 months we would be able to see a container building apartment complex.
Smithbridges, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Most likely. And then we'll be able to have something ready for the market, I would say, in 18 months to 24 months.
Okay. That makes sense.
So there's a lot that has to go on, and there's a lot of coordination that needs to go. Because again, logistics and supply division manager, there's a lot to coordinate with the supply and the logistics of getting the right goods at the right place at the right time when they're ready with the labor and the factory ready to take it and to convert the raw materials into this finished good.
No, but it's funny that the construction industry is changing to this ready, aim, fire instead of ready, shoot, aim, like everybody jokes, right? We'll fix it at the end. But now it's all precision and just in time. You're laser measuring these things on the inside. So you should, all the components are essentially just slot in. So it's ready to go.
Because quite honestly, I mean, if you don't measure twice and cut once, then getting that extra material is a lot of extra cost that we're trying to avoid as much as possible.
Right, over a large amount of production that really scales significantly.
Yeah.
Where do you get these containers from? Are they made for this purpose? Are they recycled? Are they sustainable? Where do you get
Good question. So this is another aspect of Guam that is unique. We have a lot of imports. We don't have a lot of exports.
Okay.
So we have a lot of containers coming to the island full, leaving empty.
Right.
And so at Smithbridge, we bring in a lot of construction materials and a lot of building materials. And so what we've done over the course of maybe 5 or 6 years is what you can do is if you buy the container offshore, fill it, and bring it here, we save some costs in terms of shipping. You pay more for the container overall, but you do have that inventory item, or you have that raw material that will turn into a fixed asset eventually. So we bring them in. We bring in whether it be building materials for our concrete division or our quarry division, whatever it is we're bringing into the island, we normally buy the container and hold it here for the purpose of converting it into these buildings.
Okay. How long have you been doing that for?
Probably 6 years.
Okay. Wow.
And so it's a one-time use container. So it'll be built offshore and used once for when we bring it to Guam, and then it stays on Guam.
Is that a common thing, one-time use containers, or is that specific for this methodology?
If you buy your own containers, yeah. If you buy your own containers, then you'll normally buy new or gently used.
I see.
And gently used is usually just one-time use.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of beat-up containers because that's the other element of this. Containers can take a beating. But with our manufacturing process, we are very much aware of the corrosive effects of the island and what that has on steel. So we've definitely built in, we want newer containers that have better coatings, and then we'll, once we've finished our process, recoat the entire container to keep the elements out.
And if you hear the noise here, it's because they're recoating a container outside. I apologize for that. No, but where we are using those structures, but do they have anything hazardous that we need to make note of or anything in there?
The containers?
Like in the
steel.
insulation or like lead or any?
Oh, good point.
Any
So
funky
the
stuff
insulation, as I said before, is this rock wool. And so, no, I mean, fiberglass does have some long-term effects, and that's why we're not using fiberglass anymore in the construction industry for the most part. This rock wool doesn't have any sort of bad impact on humans. The paints that we're using and the coatings that we're using are, generally safe. No lead, no any of that. I mean, it's just a steel structure.
No asbestos, right? And generally they're
no. I mean, this is all newer materials, modern materials that are made for human use and all that stuff.
Got it. Tell me about where you see the housing market going on Guam in the next 5 years.
That's a good question. I see it slowly developing as it ever was. I hope that this design can be a step change in how people view construction of residences. We find that building costs are only going one direction. I can't see many other things that are going to really change that. And so the higher the building costs, the older, more conventional methods of construction are just going to lead to slow and steady growth. I mean, there's still going to be new homes that are going to be built, but nothing compared to what we need to fundamentally change the supply of cost-effective and readily accessible housing for the people who need it most. You probably know more than I do, but most of the new builds are going to be made for a certain segment of the population, and those are the people that can afford the high cost of construction.
Yes.
Which is great. I mean, they deserve all the things that they can build, but that's not our market. That's not our target. We're looking to provide a solution to the people that, are just those first-time home buyers, those people in those first or second jobs that are trying to sort of start out on this island.
Right, and that's kind of what we're looking at a lot is the missing middle, as they say.
Correct.
Right? And that's, people whose total housing costs, including utilities, doesn't exceed $2,000, right? And we, I don't know any place that exists here, unless you own cash or you've built some equity. Or
Not yet.
Not yet. Not until you bring your solution. And so for me, that solution is more palatable than a lot of the other rapid build and rapid deployment solutions that I've seen, because people have been living in container homes here for years. They've been using them as offices. It's a cottage, and it's something people are familiar with, and we've seen them through the storms, and we've seen them tip and do those things, but generally they're pretty...
And the innovation that we're trying to bring to it is a lot of those container buildings that you see around the island were purpose-built and were kind of one-off And they're normally, if they're done well, they're done really well. We just want to be able to take that one-off concept and take it into that assembly line sort of Model T concept. The other concept that I've seen is there are container buildings that are manufactured offshore and brought in. And I think we could use more of them. What they do lack is durability. And what they do lack is usually, remember that panel that I was saying that we put inside of the steel? They usually take the steel out and it's just the panel.
Okay.
So again, you lose a lot of that typhoon proofing when you take the steel off.
So these are one pieces too. These aren't the kind that you see where the walls fold in and it's stackable, is it?
Yeah, that's actually a great concept for what I would consider very temporary housing.
I see.
But one element that you might have heard me say is we want to build buildings that last. And so those foldable sides, again, that's that panel, not steel. And so the panel will deteriorate quite rapidly. I would say that has a useful life of maybe 5 years.
So Timu Smithbridge.
Yeah. And no knocking what Timu's doing. There's a time and a place for it, but it's just temporary. But we're trying to provide some permanent alternatives to housing.
Got it. So with that, what do you think are some of the regulatory obstacles that may be in the way for you to move this product forward?
So the good and the bad thing is we're treading into unknown space. So we're hoping that we can front foot it and let people know what we're doing, how we're doing it, and all the safety precautions that we're putting into it. We've been building buildings for a very long time.
Sure.
And so we know that there'll be the agencies that want to ask the questions that they need to protect the public, and that's what good government looks like.
Yes.
And so we haven't had the full conversations, but we're ready for them, or we will be ready for them, and we'll welcome them. What type of building permits we need for this? It's a little bit of a new concept. Look, the concept of a prefabricated housing development exists within the United States law, right? And so quite honestly, we'll have to go to, something that's happening in Hawaii or California and lift and shift a couple of those rules and regs just to make sure that developers stay within the bounds. But you've seen prefabricated homes across the United States, and the regulatory hurdles are not high. It's probably just needs to be addressed eventually.
Yeah, and in one of our earlier podcasts, we were talking to the chairman of the Guam Chamber, Teo, and he was talking about pre-approved plans. So I would think something like that, okay, I have a 4-high, yay wide, Hoffa home or, Biba or whatever.
An off-the-shelf permit.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like it's already pre-approved. We know what it is. We know the product. We know the builder. So all you need to do is just find the site, engineer the site to receive the product, and you're good to go. And
something like this would be right in line with that, because the good thing is it's going to be repeatable. There's always a trade-off. The bad thing is for some customers, it's not going to be as customizable as they want. And eventually we may get there to a customizable, modular, prefabricated container building, but that's quite a ways down.
But that's more niche than you're looking for.
Correct.
I think, right?
Correct. And what we'll do is we'll probably share our knowledge with the folks that want to do that, because we're trying to build an ecosystem. Yeah. We know we're not the only builders on the island. If this is a proven model, we're more than willing to share our knowledge.
Yeah, someone can do the interiors better than you, right? And then add to your business, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And the good thing about the modularization is we can build it out to where they need. Do you want a shell? Okay, we just stop the manufacturing process at stage 6 rather than stage 10. And we say, there's your module, and go and fix the interior. We're trying to provide an interior that is livable and lovable in spaces that we would live in ourselves. So we're not trying to do, super low cost, kitschy stuff.
Okay.
I'm personally going up to these suppliers, and I'm, sleeping in the bed, and I'm using the sink, and I'm making sure that this is a place that I would want to live.
Right on. Cool, Clarke. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear about these new technologies and solutions and all the things that go into in the exploratory issues and the regulatory issues, and also the intrepidness, I guess, to kind
Yes.
of put that. I don't have a good word for that, but to put that foot forward, like you say. And
We're wayfinders.
there you go.
I can't really claim that, but my daughter's a wayfinder.
Microbial.
We're finding the way. We're bushwhacking. We're doing all that.
Okay. So thanks to my guest Clarke for joining us today. And I hope you learned something. And if you did, or even if you didn't, give us another shot. Like, subscribe, or save on the channel that you're listening to, and we'll see you soon.
Like and subscribe.